What's up, you guys? Doing a few tests here on the lattice. Just making sure I understand, optimize certain things. One thing I discovered via conversing with my interns, which is really just AI, is that the tension is really a big part of the hover cables. Maybe the biggest part, which makes, honestly, obvious sense. Here's some of the other cores, by the way, just to see how they're progressing. Really interesting. This one's obviously too big, but anyway, so let's bring back the test writer. I'll go ahead and spread it out a little bit. It's very fascinating. So one thing I'm looking at, of course, a lot of different things, but the optimal tension points. I was thinking about having elbow pads connected to the hover cables. So I'll test that loosely. This is just a model. What I found is when you scale down, a few things happen. One, difficulty actually scales up, which is a good thing, because it allows you to get more data out of the test. I said one, but that's the only thing I can remember from the scale down. So obviously materials get cheaper in smaller quantities. Alright, let's try just arm-based tension in the hover cables. So I'm going to focus on lateral tension. Okay, well, decided to centralize on the wrist. I'm not going to fault it for that right now. Oh, jeez, the hover core slipped out. Well, let's get some tests anyway. Interesting. Alright, let's go ahead and casually. This core, another thing I've noticed, it's become super duper flat. So if that width is the actual radius of the core, that's something that is going to be a problem. Though it might have something to do with the overall width that I created in here. You can see how much that hover core is smashed. And if I squeeze it, doesn't have that much more rupture to it. Alright, so I'm going to do a whole new test with the hover cord and make some hover cores from scratch, and then run some new lattice tests, and then I think we'll be ready to proceed to the full-scale models. Even this is actually kind of interesting. I had planned to do some spring stuff with this front connection point, the 0D as I call it, pivot point. But what I'm going to do instead there is actually look for a shock absorber